supposed to hate Harry and Meghan again today because the house that the Queen, the late Queen, gifted them, and upon which Harry spent £2.3 million of his own money, has now been confiscated by King Charles. So imagine if you were writing this story from a point of view of not having had your brain boiled by the fact that Prince Harry fell in love with a woman of colour, right? So just pretend that the world hadn't been redefined, or your attitude to the royal family hadn't been redefined by right-wing media apoplectic about the fact that Prince Harry turned the entire pyramid of privilege in this country on his head by falling in love with an actual woman of colour, right? So, and King Charles was currently much more under attack than his sons, okay? Because he used to be very much under attack for the appalling way in which his late wife and Prince Harry's mum was treated, and indeed the way in which the now Queen was insinuated into public life, having her reputation completely rehabilitated thanks to collusion with newspapers, which was, I think seeing her sit down for a meal with Jeremy Clarkson shortly before Jeremy Clarkson wrote that article about Meghan Markle, which reports today suggest might see him deemed surplus to requirements over at ITV, tells you everything you need to know about the nature of those relationships and those quid pro quos. So just imagine that Charles was persona non grata with the right-wing media, and that he had betrayed. This is how you'd write it. Charles betrays his late mother's wishes by depriving Harry of a home in England's green and pleasant land. I'd add that bit as well, a little bit of William Blake there. You can almost hear Hubert Parry tuning up in the background. Cruel Charles, callous Charles. I can't quite get the alliteration. Just sounds a tricky. Cheesy doesn't work. So cruel Charles betrays. Cruel Charles betrays late Queen's wishes by stealing Harry's home. Second line. Harry and Meghan denied place in England's green and pleasant land by jealous parent. You see how it would work? Because the Queen gave them a house and he's taken it away. So betraying the late Queen's wishes. That is how Churlish Charles, thank you. Churlish Charles? Yeah, Churlish Charles. It's tricky that, because you're weighing up the alliteration with the stronger adjective. So cruel Charles is much stronger. Churlish Charles. Churlish Charles works pretty well, actually. Churlish Charles steals Harry's house. There it is. Churlish Charles steals Harry's house. Second line, late Queen cruelly betrayed by brutal eviction. That's the story, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Churlish Charles has stolen Harry's house. The late Queen wanted him to have it. He spent 2.3 million quid tarting it up, and money he repaid actually to the public purse after stepping down from royal duties. And lo and behold, Charles has demonstrated according to newspapers, he's demonstrated, let me tell you what the Daily Mail have to say about it, because we could always do with a laugh. Charles evicting Harry and Meghan from Frogmore is the act of a king putting his country first. I love showing you how twisted the media is, because if you're not an anorak like me, you probably don't notice. So that headline could easily be exactly the same story. Churlish Charles steals Harry's house. Late Queen betrayed by brutal eviction. That exactly the same story, right? But the invitation to hate in recent years has involved Harry and Meghan, because much of the British media continues to favour a man who paid millions of pounds to a sex trafficking victim who accused him of multiple sex crimes than it does to a man who had the audacity to fall in love with a woman of colour. We've got it. Callous King. Callous King steals Harry's house. That's come from Grant. He's doing a shift as a sub-editor today. Home is better than house, thank you. We're doing this together. Callous King steals Harry's home. Brutal betrayal of late Queen's wishes. That's it, right? Callous King steals Harry's home. Brutal betrayal of late Queen's wishes. And then you'd have people like Amanda Platel writing articles about how terrible. He's trampling upon the grave of his beloved mother. It's so awful. It's just pathetic. It is absolutely, it's the infantilization of a nation. I mean, it's been underway for hundreds of years, but occasionally the absurdity, the hypocrisy, the base corruption of it is so irresistible that it can't help sticking its head above the parapet. Callous King steals Harry's home. There it is. So, sorry, that was just a little diversion into who the invitation to hate is being issued to. Who are we supposed to hate today, Keith? Harry and Meghan again, James. Okay, thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sussexes Squad. Now, apparently today's breaking news is that we're supposed to hate Harry and Meghan again. Why? Because King Charles, in his infinite wisdom and questionable timing, has decided to kick his own son out of the house that the late Queen herself gifted him. Yes, you heard that right. The same house Harry spent his own 2.3 million renovating. The same house he paid back to the public purse after stepping down from royal duties. And now King Charles has decided that Frogmore Cottage is no longer for the Sussexes. Honestly, you couldn't make this up. Let's break it down, because this isn't just a royal eviction. It's another episode in the long-running soap opera called The British Media versus Common Sense. So the tabloids are losing their collective minds again. Not because Charles looks like the villain in this story, but because they've spun it around to make him look like some noble leader putting the crown first. Translation? We can't criticize the king, so let's blame Harry and Meghan again. But let's flip this around for a second. Imagine if this was written from a fair perspective. Imagine headlines that actually told the truth. Callous king steals Harry's home, betrays the late Queen's wishes. Now that's the story. But of course, the press doesn't like that version. They want you to think Harry is the problem, not the fact that Charles is out here reclaiming houses like some royal landlord gone rogue. It's wild. They treat Harry like he's committed some grand national crime, when all he did was fall in love with a black woman and choose peace over palace politics. And for that, they've been public enemy number one ever since. Let's not forget, this is the same king who once faced criticism over how he treated Princess Diana. Remember that? The people's princess? The woman who was adored by millions? The same media that tore her apart are now protecting him while bashing her son. The hypocrisy is Olympic level. And the spin, oh the spin! One tabloid even called Charles's eviction of Harry and Meghan an act of a king putting his country first. Really? Since when does throwing out your son equal patriotism? If that's leadership, then I guess Cruella de Vil was just protecting the textile industry. Here's what they're not saying. Harry didn't ask for Frogmore for free. He didn't demand royal privileges. He and Meghan Sussex simply wanted to live their lives on their own terms. They paid back every cent. Meanwhile, certain royal figures, who shall not be named but rhyme with Rince Andrew, literally paid off sex abuse victims and still have taxpayer-funded security and housing. Make it make sense. And speaking of media spin, you've got people like Amanda Platel and Piers Morgan writing entire essays on how Harry and Meghan betrayed the Queen. Excuse me? The only betrayal happening here is King Charles going against his mother's wishes. The Queen gifted that house to her grandson. It wasn't a loan, it wasn't conditional. It was a gesture of love and trust. But now Charles is out here repossessing royal property like it's a parking ticket. Honestly, at this point, you could call him Churlish Charles, the callous king who stole his son's home. It even sounds like the title of a Shakespearean tragedy, except this one has tabloids instead of poets. What's worse, the people who were screaming, "Harry disrespects his grandmother," are now applauding the man who literally undid her gift. The hypocrisy is louder than the palace walls. And let's be real, this whole narrative about putting the monarchy first is code for protecting the firm's image at all costs. Because heaven forbid anyone remind the world that Harry and Meghan Sussex have built a successful independent life in California, thriving, helping others, and refusing to be defined by royal drama. That's the real issue here. They can't stand the fact that Harry and Meghan are doing just fine without the monarchy. They wanted the Sussexes to fail, but instead they're flourishing. So what's the media's next move? Manufacture outrage. Turn compassion into controversy. Pretend that evicting your son is duty. Give me a break. Let's also not ignore the double standards. The British press will write 20 think pieces about Meghan's facial expression at an event. But when Charles has lunch with Jeremy Clarkson, the same man who publicly fantasized about Meghan being paraded naked through the streets, crickets. That silence says everything about who the media protects and who they target. If Harry had done half the things his father's friends have done, the headlines would read, "Disgraced Duke shames the crown." But when Charles does it, suddenly it's His Majesty enjoys a friendly lunch. The bias isn't subtle, it's screaming from the front pages. And the saddest part? The late Queen would never have wanted this. She valued unity. She adored Harry. She understood family. To undo her gift is to undo her grace. And that's the real betrayal here. Not Harry's decision to live in peace, but Charles's decision to rewrite history for optics. So, once again, the British media wants to tell you who to hate. But here at Sussexes Squad, we know better. We see through the nonsense. We know Harry and Meghan Sussex are the ones staying true to themselves, protecting their family and living authentically. No palace walls needed. Meanwhile, King Charles is out here looking like the royal version of a petty landlord evicting tenants who already paid rent. So, the next time you see a headline blaming Harry and Meghan, ask yourself, who's really being betrayed? Because it sure looks like the Queen's memory, not the Sussexes, is what's been disrespected. And that's it for today, squad. What do you think of this royal mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more honest takes that the tabloids won't tell you. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Link is in the description. Every bit helps us keep telling the truth and standing up for Harry and Meghan Sussex. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, truth always wins over tabloids.